Yes, people, welcome to my main card predictions for UFC 311 that takes place this Sunday live in Los Angeles. The first fight of the main card is Kevin Holland versus Reinier de Ridder. So when actually looking at this fight, it's pretty clear that it is Kevin Holland striking versus de Ridder's grappling. De Ridder has amazing grappling, especially his back takes and his back control. He's so good. I do believe if he gets on Kevin Holland's back, especially late on in the round, maybe like end of round 2 or round 3, I do think he could definitely choke him out. But his striking really lets him down. If you watch any of his fights, it's clear that his striking is this weak part of his game. And he's really bad, I think, at defending just a straight 1-2. If you watch the Meerschaert fight that he just had, his debut in the UFC, he was getting tagged by Meerschaert, and I definitely back Kevin Holland over Meerschaert for striking. But saying that, Kevin Holland's groundwork is pretty good, but de Ridder's is definitely better, and I do think if he can get Holland to the ground, he can definitely sub him. But it's a task to get him to the ground. If you watch Chimaev versus Holland, even though Chimaev is probably the best in the middleweight division, Kevin Holland's wrestling defense, isn't actually too bad. I know he obviously got took down and sub by Chimaev, but that is Chimaev, and I don't think they're wrestling de Ridder and Chimaev's are anywhere close. So I am going to have to stray with Kevin Holland striking on this. I do think he will knock out de Ridder or TKO de Ridder pretty early too. I think it'd be round 1 or round 2. I do think if you watch, he's got a nasty 1-2. If you watch what he done to Joaquin Buckley, it was pretty bad, that 1-2, pretty brutal. So I can see the exact same knockout in this fight, just a straight 1-2, finishing de Ridder. Moving up to the next fight, it's Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. And the biggest thing to talk about in this fight is all about momentum. Moicano is on a 3-fight win streak, and to be fair, his last fight, he absolutely destroyed Benoit Saint-Denis in his hometown of Paris. And if you look at Beneil Dariush's last 2 fights, he hasn't fought in a year, but then if you look at his last 2 fights that were in 2023, he got beat by Charles pretty early, and he got destroyed by Sarukian pretty early again. So I understand they're probably the 2 best in the lightweight division bar Islam, but still, the momentum is definitely with Money Moicano. So again, I'm going to have to just back Moicano just pretty much because of the momentum. I really don't think Moicano will have as much success on the ground as he did against Saint-Denis. But because Dariush is really good on the ground, and even as you get old and you start getting a bit worse and you start losing fights, your jits is always still there pretty much. It's more like your striking, your wrestling, your cardio. And pretty funny though, they're the same age. A lot of people think, I don't know if because Beneil looks a lot older, but people think Beneil's like well older than him, and Moicano's this like rising star. They've had the same amount of fights in the UFC, and they're the same age. I definitely don't think that Moicano's going to sub him. I wouldn't back that, but I can see either a knockout or a pretty dominant decision by Moicano. He's got really good pressure now. Moicano's striking is really good now. His boxing is absolutely flying, and I do think Beneil, he's a little bit lazy in his striking. He throws very lazy body kicks, but one thing to look out for is Moicano's injury in the Saint-Denis fight. He had a nasty collarbone injury, and that was obviously, I think that was the end of September, 26th of September, I think. And he's fighting on the first pay-per-view in Jan, which is pretty soon after. You could probably say the same with Kevin Holland too. He just fought in October and had to stop by a injury. So both of them are to look at for both fights. But my prediction for that one is Moicano by either knockout in the round 3 or decision. Another thing though about that fight, is I do think if Beneil loses, he will retire. That is a prediction of mine. Now moving up the card to Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka. I'd probably say this is the most exciting fight on the card because it's two light heavyweights at the top of the rankings fighting, and I definitely don't think it'll go to decision, and I'm pretty confident in saying it won't go past round 2, won't even make it to round 3. Obviously, Alex Pereira has knocked out both of these in their last fights, but I think Alex Pereira being so good and knocking them out in such a brutal way has made everyone forget how good these two actually are, especially Jamal Hill. I know he's on like a bit of a PR campaign to be like the most hated man in the whole of the UFC, but he has crisp boxing. If you watch his fight versus Johnny Walker, he's so good at slipping straight shots, and obviously he slipped to the left and caught him with that right hand, knocking him out. I can see that exact same thing happening in the Yuri Prochazka fight. Obviously Yuri's hands, well, they're not up at all, to be honest, and he obviously throws all his punches from almost like his chest range, so I can see Jamal pretty easily slipping out the way and catching him and firing back. But I do back Yuri's power more than I do Jamal Hill's power. If you watch him, obviously, in the Rakic fight, Yuri Prochazka, at UFC 300, he was getting pretty destroyed in that first round. His leg was beaten up, and he ended up just coming back and knocking out Rakic just out of nowhere. That is the power of Yuri. He can just knock you out in a matter of seconds, and he definitely could knock out Jamal, but I think that both of them should really attack the leg kicks. Obviously, Jamal's coming back from that injury to his knee, and Yuri, you've got to slow him down. But saying that, Jamal doesn't really throw that many leg kicks, and Yuri does, so maybe that'll be a bit of an advantage for Yuri. But I do think Jamal will knock him out, and I think it'll be with just a straight right hand. I can see him slipping a shot and throwing that right hand, knocking him out. But I do think up close too, Jamal has the benefit. I think his boxing in the pocket is a lot better than Yuri's. Jamal doesn't necessarily throw many kicks, which Yuri does, so he might have an advantage at that. But I think Yuri's actual defense isn't good enough to beat Jamal Hill's boxing. So for that, I am going to go Jamal Hill by knockout. Now moving to the co-main event, I think the co-main event and the main event both have the two best fighters in their division fighting. I think if these two people fought the rest of the division, they'd beat everyone. So when we actually look at Merab versus Umar, it is so exciting of a fight. I did actually watch Volkanovski's breakdown of it, and he was saying that he actually backs Merab's pressure to be too much for Umar, which I don't necessarily agree. I'm not saying I know more than Volk, but I think training with the Dagestanis for the last, 20 years, he will be used to that pressure, and I back Umar's cardio to go the full 5 rounds. I think his actual range finding is so much better. He's so much better staying in range than Merab. I think when you watch Merab's, he kind of like runs at you with like these wild punches, and I think Umar will be able to counter that either with shots or with his takedown of his own. If you watch that first fight with Merab versus Henry Cejudo, in that first round, Henry kind of controlled him on the ground. I can see if the fight, obviously Merab's going to shoot 100 takedowns, but if it does go to the ground, even if Merab takes Umar down, I can see Umar sweeping him, getting him on top, or not settling in any position. Like I felt like Sean O'Malley kind of settled sometimes because he was scared of getting choked, or even in the striking he wasn't throwing enough kicks because he was scared of getting taken down. Umar will not be like that. If he gets taken down, I don't think he'll care. I think he'll back himself to either scramble or just get straight back up, or even start attacking from bottom. If we look at Merab though, I think in every fight people bet against him, and he ends up winning all the time against the best. Aldo, Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley, like them names are so high level. But I do back Corey Sandhagen to beat every single one of them, even Sean O'Malley. So, and Umar, done so good against him. So that's kind of the logic that I'm going with here. But if I was a betting man, I would not put any money on Umar because Merab's odds are so good that I would actually back Merab, and I am a betting man, so I will do that. But the prediction I am going is Umar by decision. I can't see either of them finishing the other person. I think even if, say, Merab's on Umar's back or Umar's on Merab's back, I back their jits, their defence, the chokes, armbars, whatever, to be so high level, and I can't see either of them getting subbed. And I definitely don't think Merab will knock Umar out. I can see Umar maybe landing a nice head kick and then finishing him on the ground, but I'd much more predict a decision victory by Umar. Now moving on to the last fight, and probably if I could pick a fight to watch, it'd be either Islam Makhachev versus Topuria or Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. So I'm very excited for this fight, but I am gutted that I'm actually in Vietnam on the Hagang Loop, so I can't actually watch the fight, but I'm praying that lunchtime hits and the fight start at 12, so that's what I'm praying for. But if you look at my recent video, I've done a much more detailed breakdown on this fight, which you can go and watch. I'll put the link in the description. But when we actually look at this fight, I think it all stems on cardio. I also think that if, say, Arman wins 3 rounds, but one of them's close, I can see them just giving it to Islam. If you're going to beat such a dominant champ on by decision, you have to absolutely destroy them, like Strickland Adesanya, where I think it was 4-1, where if you watch Islam vs Volk, that could have went either way. If you watch Joe Rogan's podcast when he was watching it live, he actually backed Volk. He thought Volk won the fight. So I do think when you're beating such a dominant champ on decision, you have to destroy them. So if we look at this fight, I back Islam Makhachev's cardio over Arman Tsarukyan's. I understand that the first fight, Arman was short notice, but if you watch the Gamrot fight, the same. Arman kind of faded away at the end, and then Gamrot ended up winning the decision, which was pretty close. I know people had Arman winning that as well, but I definitely think Islam isn't a person you can get fatigued with, especially at the end. And Arman might not even get fatigued, but I can see Islam beating him, especially in like the judo exchange. Arman's scrambling is so good. So I think if Islam takes him down, or if Arman goes to take Islam down and defend, Arman will be really good at scrambling back up or coming on top from a takedown. So my prediction is Islam Makhachev by decision. And I can't really see anything else other than that happening. I can't see Arman Tsarukyan winning by decision. I can't see either of them knocking each other out. And I certainly can't see either of them winning by sub. I spoke on my breakdown that both of them, whenever they get put into a submission, they do not react in any crazy way. They stay relaxed, they stay composed, and they end up escaping the sub. So I'm very excited for this fight, and I did say in the breakdown that my prediction is this will be the highest level of wrestling ever seen in mixed martial arts history. Thanks everyone, I hope you enjoyed the breakdown of the main card, and to see what my predictions were, let me know in the comments what your predictions are, and especially that main event, let me know what you think. And do you think both the Dagestanis will win, both Umar and Islam win? If they do, I think we need to talk about how good Dagestan is. But I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you later.